Imagine a time when one disease wiped out entire communities, leaving behind scars that lasted generations. It was a battle humanity was losing, until one groundbreaking discovery changed everything. As we unravel today's mysteries, don't forget to show your support by hitting like, subscribe, and turning on the notification bell. The answers you seek might just be one click away. Let's dive in. For centuries, smallpox was one of the deadliest diseases in human history, causing catastrophic loss of life across the globe. In fact, smallpox is estimated to have killed more people than any other infectious disease, affecting every part of the world and leaving deep scars in societies. From ancient civilizations to the modern age, smallpox was a constant threat, claiming the lives of millions. The fear of smallpox was so intense that entire communities took extreme measures to try and avoid it, yet there was no reliable cure in sight. However, in 1796, an English physician named Edward Jenner changed the course of medical history. At a time when smallpox still claimed lives in frightening numbers, Jenner pioneered the first ever vaccine, a method that would go on to save millions and eventually lead to the eradication of this terrible disease. But what drove Jenner to experiment with cowpox to develop a solution? And how did his discovery mark the beginning of a new era in medicine? Let's dive deep into the story of one of history's most significant breakthroughs. Smallpox has a long and grim history, predating even the establishment of modern medicine. The disease's roots can be traced back over 3,000 years, with the first recorded cases found in ancient Egyptian mummies. Its impact was devastating across the ages, wiping out entire populations, shaping empires, and creating massive social disruptions. Smallpox was the great equalizer, showing no mercy to kings, peasants, or common folk alike. For thousands of years, there was no escape from the disease. Ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans, recorded their struggles with smallpox, noting its highly contagious nature and its fatal outcomes. It spread rapidly through crowded cities, devastating communities, and causing endless misery. During the Middle Ages, smallpox became endemic in Europe, where it would kill an estimated 400,000 people every year. The disease would often be fatal, and survivors were left scarred for life with the telltale marks on their skin. These disfiguring scars left a lasting impression on the human psyche, cementing smallpox's reputation as one of the most feared diseases in history. But despite its virulence, there was no understanding of how to prevent or treat it. This would change with the arrival of Edward Jenner. By the late 18th century, smallpox had reached its zenith, leaving death and despair in its wake. Edward Jenner, a humble country doctor in rural England, was well aware of the havoc smallpox wreaked on communities. He had witnessed the devastation firsthand in his own practice. But Jenner's keen observation of nature and his scientific curiosity led him to make a groundbreaking connection. He noticed that milkmaids, who contracted cowpox, a milder disease from cows, seemed to be immune to smallpox. Jenner hypothesized that exposure to cowpox could offer protection against smallpox, but this idea seemed almost too strange to be true. In 1796, Jenner decided to test his hypothesis. He injected a young boy with cowpox, then exposed him to smallpox, expecting to see the child develop the disease. But the boy remained healthy, showing no signs of infection. This was a monumental discovery. Jenner's work laid the foundation for the first vaccination, which would go on to save millions of lives. Jenner had effectively unlocked the secret to smallpox immunity, yet his journey to get to this point was far from smooth. While his discovery was revolutionary, it was met with skepticism and resistance from many, including some of his own colleagues. Jenner's groundbreaking work did not come without controversy. In fact, the very idea of injecting people with a substance from cows seemed absurd to many in the scientific community. Vaccination was met with fear, skepticism, and outright opposition. The idea of introducing a virus into the body seemed unnatural, and many feared that it would cause more harm than good. At the time, there was little understanding of how the immune system worked, so the idea that a mild disease like cowpox could prevent a much deadlier one seemed far-fetched. Moreover, some medical professionals feared that Jenner's success would diminish their own authority and knowledge. Public resistance was also widespread. Many people were simply unwilling to trust the idea of a new medical treatment. Jenner's work wasn't just rejected by the public, but also by some of the leading figures of his time. Despite this, Jenner remained steadfast. He continued to publish his findings, defend his theory, and even encouraged others to perform similar experiments. Over time, his ideas gained traction, and the proof of the efficacy of his vaccine became undeniable. Edward Jenner's legacy is immeasurable. His discovery not only saved millions of lives, but also laid the groundwork for the entire field of immunology. Vaccination became the cornerstone of modern public health, and smallpox, once one of the deadliest diseases in human history, was eradicated through the concerted efforts of global health organizations. In 1980, the World Health Organization declared smallpox eradicated, a milestone that marked the culmination of more than a century of work in vaccination. Jenner's work had created the model for all future vaccinations, and the world continues to benefit from this discovery today. Vaccines have eradicated or controlled many diseases that once killed millions, such as polio, measles, and diphtheria. Jenner's commitment to his work, despite immense challenges, helped to create the foundation for the future of medicine. Today, his name is honored, and his methods have inspired generations of medical professionals dedicated to preventing disease and saving lives. While initially met with resistance, Jenner's vaccine began to spread across Europe. Other countries took note of his success and began to implement their own vaccination programs. The first vaccination clinics were established in France, and soon the idea of vaccination was gaining momentum. By the 19th century, many European nations had adopted vaccination programs, and smallpox began to decline. What started as a revolutionary idea in rural England soon turned into a global public health initiative. In the decades following Jenner's discovery, smallpox vaccinations became standard practice, and the disease was slowly but surely contained. Vaccinations saved countless lives, and by the early 20th century, the spread of smallpox was dramatically reduced, especially in developed nations. However, Jenner's work did not simply mark the beginning of vaccination for smallpox. It sparked the larger field of immunology, which would go on to combat other diseases. Vaccination was the first of many vaccines that would follow, and Jenner's legacy would pave the way for the prevention of countless other deadly diseases. Today, Jenner's pioneering work in vaccination continues to influence how we approach disease prevention. In an increasingly interconnected world, vaccination remains one of our most effective defenses against the spread of infectious diseases. The recent global fight against COVID-19 has shown us just how crucial vaccines are in protecting public health. While smallpox is no longer a threat, many other diseases still require vaccines for prevention. The world continues to fight diseases like influenza, polio, and measles. And now, with the advancement of mRNA technology, the future of vaccines looks brighter than ever. Jenner's work laid the foundation for these modern innovations, and his legacy lives on in the development of new vaccines that promise to protect generations to come. As we continue to face new health challenges, the importance of vaccines remains paramount. Edward Jenner's contributions to medical science will never be forgotten, and his legacy will continue to save lives for generations to come. Edward Jenner's discovery changed the course of medical history and provided humanity with the tools to fight infectious diseases. His legacy lives on in the vaccines that protect us today, and his contributions continue to save millions of lives. We owe much of our modern approach to disease prevention to his pioneering work. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of history's greatest medical breakthroughs. If you found this story inspiring, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to join us for more untold stories from history.